Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're starting now. So, welcome to today's event. My name is. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so my name is Ifion, and I'm the lead for this community. So, as we all know, this month is dedicated to celebrating women, and as a community that is also part of celebrating and also encouraging women. We are also celebrating this event. As we all know, this event was actually slated for March 8th, but as we didn't have time to do it on that day, we pushed us forward and now we're having us. So the theme for this year is choose to challenge, which is why the event is choose to challenge. We have two speakers because we're having going to have a panelist session. This event is going to be like a panelist session event where we're going to bring two people to come and talk and majorly ask them questions that is going to be revolving around the theme choose to challenge. So just sit back and you enjoy what we have for you. So the first thing I'll have to say is that um okay, let me see how I'll put it. I'm coming. So the first thing I have to say is that first off, people are asking me if this was gender specific. International Women's Day is not gender specific. It's actually for everyone because we're celebrating everyone. And number two, this event is just going to be max an hour 30 minutes because I understand that Unilag wants to kill everyone. And even though they want to kill us, you still have to flex small, you have to enjoy small. So this is why this event is just going to be for um 1 hour 30 minutes max. So lastly, the thing I also say is I have a co-host here with me. Her name is Sarah. So she's the one that's going to be handling the panelist session. She's the one that's going to be asking the panelists the questions. And also when they start, if you have any other questions or you have any questions, if time can permit us, please drop it on the chat section and you'll be called out for you. And please mute your mics, no disturbance, and switch off your camera because we want to save data for people and we don't want any interruption. So just sit back, enjoy the panelist session, and I am a remarkable session also by Tabi. So just um, stay with us and enjoy. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can drop it. So over to you, Sarah.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's time for our panelist session. And if you've seen our flyers, you should know who our speakers are by now. They are Wura Alishe and Messi Marcos. So, Messi is a civil engineering graduate who once worked remotely as a data scientist for a Nigerian fintech company. She currently works as a software engineer at Microsoft's mixed reality team. She enjoys helping organize tech meetups, listening to music, and occasionally binge watching shows and cartoons. You're welcome, Messi.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Hi, everyone
And
else.
our second speaker is Wura Alishe. She's a she's an economics graduate who learns to code the non-traditional way. She currently works as a software engineer at Microsoft. She believes anyone with a passion, regardless of their background, can transition into a software development role. When she's away from the screen, she loves to swim, but she isn't as half as good. Welcome, Amura.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Hello.
Did you hear me?
Okay, I can now.
Yes.
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Hi guys, thank you for
Okay,
having
you're welcome. Okay, my first question is going to go to Messi. Um, Messi, I would like you to introduce yourself. Probably you tell us what we don't know about you already.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What you don't know about me already? Let's see. Um, so right now, I just started Microsoft recently. Before, hi Sadiq. Um, before that, I actually had no clue I was going to go into software engineering. Basically, it feels like my journey has just been mostly vibes and like me just I don't know, going where it leads me. Uh, Aside my first switch when I said to not practice civil engineering and switch to learn about data science, that was like the only thing I did that had made a conscious decision to do. Everything else has just been me just following, like I said, the vibes. I also enjoy running a lot. That's what I do to unwind. It helps me think and unblock sometimes, but most times it's actually just for fun. I have participated in a few marathons and blah blah blah. Let's see, what else don't you know about me? I already mentioned cartoons parts. That's what I would rather watch. Watching humans sometimes isn't so easy, but cartoons are always easy to watch. I think I'll just stop there. There will be time for me to answer questions. So you can ask me things that are not technical during that time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Messi. Rura, I'd also like you to tell us something about yourself, something we don't know yet about you.
Okay. Something about myself. I was going to give a brief summary about like my journey, but then just to mention one thing about myself that folks don't already know. Let me see. Well, I'm crazy about roller coasters. I really love roller coasters. So that's one random thing about myself. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Still on you, Rura. How did you get to this point in your career? Like from your bio, we can see that you're an economics graduate. So how did you decide to go into tech? And how from there, how did you get to this point you are now? Like how did everything happen?
Okay. So I will just basically give a story about my journey so far. So as she said, I studied economics as my undergrad. That's currently my highest degree. I finished in 2014. But while studying economics, I had always been insanely obsessed with tech and just the internet of things.
Thank you for the delicious dinner. You're welcome for a delicious dinner.
Sorry, something randomly played in the background. So as I was saying, I have always been interested in tech and the Internet of Things in general. Like I vividly remember myself in uni, and I was like the go-to person for my friends when they were trying, like if they were trying to find like an app for something. I was just obsessed then with like the look and feel of mobile and web apps, and just tech-related things in general. At that point in time, dealing with tech or even seeing myself working like in a tech related job, it was more of a dream for me than a reality because my mindset then was that I'm studying economics. I'm coming from a non-science background, and it's probably too late for me to do school all over again and learn computer science and then learn to code, blah blah blah. So it was just a dream of mine, and it was a thing I did at the side. And then when I finished school, I was working in marketing. While I was working in marketing, because of course I always loved tech, I had multiple ideas. There was this one app idea that I had that I was heavily pursuing because at that point in time, I believed that it was something that I wanted to build. And in 2016, at some point, I needed to find a UI UX designer to design like the mobile app screens, the mock-up screens for this app idea that I had. And it was really hard. For some weird reason, I couldn't find UI UX designers um, to help out with this thing. And the ones I found probably just turned me down. So I decided to learn to design mobile apps. I think the first app I used then was Adobe. Yeah, I think that's what I used. So I decided to learn, which was very exciting. And it was the very first time that I was doing something completely out of my, I would say, technical comfort zone, because I just never imagined myself having a career, like technical career in tech space. But I was very grateful that I did that. And then after I was able to design screens, I experienced other setbacks in building this app. So by January 2017, I still wasn't able to build the app because I kept on experiencing setbacks externally. This was mostly from like different series of developers that I had gone through that would pull out midway or cancel for one reason or the other. So it was at that point in time, like after spending like over a year trying to do this app, that I was hell bent on building for some crazy reason at that point in time. It was in January 2017 that I decided to leave everything that I was doing and learn to code, basically change my career to become a software developer. So I had to like take introductory courses by myself. And at the very beginning, I must mention that it wasn't easy. It's never been easy, but it's been a very beautiful journey. I find beauty in the pain of having to like learn something that I thought would take 5 minutes, but I'm ending up spending like 1 or 2 days. I vividly remember the first time I had to set up my terminal. And I just had to run a particular script, just like one line or something. And I spent like maybe the whole day trying to figure this thing out. And in that moment, it was scary because the first thing that came to my head was, you're probably going to be struggling like this for the rest of your life. But I can tell you that the journey has been beautiful, because even at the very beginning, it seems very rocky. But as I put in more time and as I am more patient with like the learning process, it definitely gets better. It's like a learning curve. At the beginning, it's steep, but by the time you get to the middle, it's like you're skyrocketing. And so after the introductory courses, I got into a boot camp. It was like a 4 months boot camp program. It's a boot camp called Coding Dojo. In the boot camp, I learned Java, JavaScript, and Python. And once I was done with the boot camp, which again, it was like a completely different journey, because coming from a non-technical background, and we had to like do so much in like one day, and I was there morning till night. It was very crazy, because I remember vividly a lot of things would seem near to impossible to achieve. But for me, what I took out of the bootcamp experience was that all I needed was patience and time. So I was there like 9 a.m. I would leave like 10 p.m. and I would still be there on the weekends, because there was so much for us to cover. And for me, the more time I put in, the more I get to understand this thing and actually pass my exam successfully. And thankfully, everything went well. I successfully passed all my exams. After the boot camp, I got my very first job here in Nigeria as a full stack developer. My core language then was in JavaScript. And then after a couple of months, I got another job um, in in a fintech company. My core language for backend was Java, and then for the front end was JavaScript. And then in 2019 July, I got my current job here at Microsoft with the mixed reality services team, where I'll say my core language is C sharp. So I guess that in itself is my journey of how I do software. engineer.
Wow, that's really nice. I think two things that I took from what you said was time and patience, which many do not have today. Honestly, I like your story. Messi,
Yeah.
um, I'm still going to ask you the same question. How did you get to this point in your career? I know you've told us it was based on just vibes, but how did you get that vibes? You get how did you get
Okay.
to the vibes?
Let me just clarify. I might have I don't know, told the white lie. It was not just vibes. But I like to say that to sound cool. But like there are parts of I've heard Wura's story before, and yeah, and Wura work on the same team. Wura is currently helping me get onboarded and introduced to everything on the team. She has been really helpful, and like she said earlier about it being a beautiful thing. That's the learning process. It's actually spot on. Like it feels like I'm back at the start of another journey since my switch. So it feels like I can still relate to being to this to when I started learning about data science in maybe 2018 or actually 2017, but I became serious in 2018. So it feels like I'm back there. So that journey, like it feels like I have two different starting points. So I'll backtrack to 2018 and how it started. So I'd say that a reason for my switch, I guess, was during my IT. I worked at a construction company during both my internships, the one where we were required to do after, I think, second semester of 100 level. That one I was, the previous year I was on the construction site, was a road construction. I was there for a couple of weeks and I hated the construction aspect of it as being under the sun, supervising. It just felt really, I don't know, it felt like a waste of time. Like it didn't feel like productive work. Like it's work that had to be done, but it's not work that I wanted to have to do. My like those who are interested should do it, but that wasn't like I just knew that I wasn't cut out for that. So the next time I thought maybe if I stay in the office and I did more design or worked like with computers to work in that way, it might be better for me, but I was still miserable. Like I still hated it. So I just knew that if I go back and I don't find something else to do, I'm probably setting myself up for a life of frustration at least. So I didn't want to do that. Like I I needed more out of life. Like I saw people who had been working in construction industry before me for years, and not to put down any profession. Like I know that there are people who find fulfillment in that, but like I said, wasn't for me. So I decided to just try anything else. Basically, like I'd already, but just trying anything else started a long time, okay, a couple of years earlier for me. I schooled in a place where like computer science students and those who were interested in program and all of that, they usually had events and they invited people in the tech industry over, like to just talk to people and try to inspire people and all of that. So I used to tag along and go for things like that and just hear them talk about like tech and getting into tech. So that was kind of like my introduction, and that kind of like just sets my mind in that direction. So I'd already attempted to learn things by myself. Like I remember picking up a C++ book to learn how to write, to build games, and that didn't go too well during my holiday. Like it was a frustrating activity, but I dropped it and then I tried other things. I remember trying to learn PHP, trying to learn um, I was almost all over the place. Tried web development. I tried Android development as well. That was like where I started getting the hang of things. But I didn't do anything serious with Android development. Though I switched to learn about data science after I was done with school, and I started learning about data science properly. By properly, I mean in a structured way. So before, I'll just take one course and just dump it and just go on about my life. But I was still in school then, anyways. Like I was in my final year and I was dealing with projects and all of that, trying to finish without losing my sanity. But after I finished, I was able to properly like have a structured kind of learning. There's this tech community that was very helpful for my learning. I grew up in Kaduna. I used to live in Kaduna. A place called Collab. So I would go there every day. Like we're a story where I should go there early to get things done. I was that person. So like I would be there from about 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. I did this almost every day for about 7, 8, 9 months. That was basically my life routine. Like I didn't really have a life during that period. I just finished school. I hadn't gone for it was around that time before you go for NYC. So I was unemployed. I was broke. Like I had just my savings from when I stayed in school. And you know how you finish school and then your parents basically just try to say it's almost like you're no longer their child automatically just because you finished school. So no one is sending you money and all of that. So you're just on your own basically. So all I had was like I was just in my head, I'm like, just manage the money you have till you're able to start doing something for yourself. So I was living as thinly as I could. Like thankfully the place where I was going to was close to my house, so I'll ride my bicycle there. I'll save like one thing I spent money on was basically just data. That was like all I spent money on during those 7, 8 months. I had a roof over my head, thank goodness. The light over there is actually not so bad. So the issues that people usually face when learning didn't really hit me as much because I had a house, I had that collab community where those issues were basically taken care of. Like I know it's harder for beginners or people who are trying to learn, just because like the country sets you up to have to struggle to get things done. So because I didn't have those things, I was able to focus on just learning. And that community is kind of community where they push you to teach people. So as I was learning, I was also teaching. Like so, imagine just you learning stuff and then you're required, like it's a pass it forward kind of place. So once you know something, they assume that you should be good enough, like you should learn it well enough to be able to teach the next person. So that's when I started helping out with their meetups over the teaching people stuff. I also took an interest in the cloud as GCP because there's a Google developer group that uses Collab for events. There's like a partnership going on, and that got me interested in the cloud as well. Fast forward to 2019, I think February or so, where I saw this remote internship opportunity. The company is called Carbon, One Finance and Investment. So they were doing this thing where for about 10 to 12 weeks, they wanted to train entry-level people. That's just, you don't have to be interested in data science as far as, so you don't have to already know about data science as far as you have an interest. They had this test and they had us all come in. Those who were successful were trained and mentored for that period of time. So that was actually when I got to do actual work. That's to work on proper like with real data. Before then, I was just using stuff that I found from Kaggle and then random places on the internet. And also failed to mention that one other thing that I also did while I was learning was that I tried to write about what I was learning. So it could be in scattered ways like on Twitter, or in more structured ways like on a blog post, or just following along with tutorials and just documenting that process somehow. I guess that helps you think better about it for writing, because I feel when you write something down, you have to think it through instead of just talking randomly. When you talk randomly, you might not have as clear thoughts. At least I don't usually have as clear thoughts when I'm talking, but I do better when I write. So okay, back to the internship. After the 10 to 12 weeks, I can't remember the exact time frame, but after that, they offered me a role to start as a data scientist there, which I took up because come on, I had it was a really good opportunity. Like I went from knowing from not having any real experience to being offered a full-time role. And this was around the time I was also serving, so it was nice knowing that I didn't have that break period between NYC and finding something to do. So I worked at Carbon up until December last year. While at Carbon, I had to grow really fast basically because like from day one, because they trained us, so they're little, like when I say little familiar, I mean like maybe like 2% familiar with their data sets and things like that. But it was a very fast-paced environment. And I got to do interesting stuff. I got to try things. I got to add more, should I say, tool sets to my kits. Like I got to play around with engineering data, machine learning, cloud engineering, because it's a one figure it out kind of place. So I got to do a lot of that, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. It helps me grow. So towards the end of last year, um, someone like he's like my mentor basically. I had a conversation with him previously. I was thinking of doing something else, but I wasn't sure about what that something else was going to be. It felt like I was due for a change. Like I took a certification exam, and it was more exciting learning more about the cloud and trying to get up to speed with these technologies than it was actually doing data science. Like at some point, I was more interested in that, and it just felt like my next transition was going to be in that line. So when I spoke to him, he was aware that I was open to trying something new. So he saw the job opening at Microsoft, and he said that just try this and go for this. And so before then, I actually next thing I was thinking of doing was either cloud engineering or something in the DevOps line. But I read the job descriptions, and it looked cool. It looks like something that was a little bit like the things that I was required to do looked a little bit familiar, but so I gave it a shot, and somehow that's the vice part I see. Like it still feels like ordinarily in my head I was like, how do you go from being a data scientist to getting hired as a software engineer without proper software engineering without a proper software engineering background? Like I can't categorically say that I was studying to be a software engineer, or like I decided to actively try to switch software engineering, but apparently the skills that I had picked up along the way while doing data science and having to get things done at Carbon helped me through the interview process and all of that. So so previously my tech stack was just Python. Like I started using a bit of Java that I knew previously last year for data engineering because of the tech that we used to handle that. So I had to just up my Java knowledge and do that. But right now I'm currently learning C# because that's what we use predominantly on the team. Yeah, so it feels like I'm back to the starting point because before now, I hadn't written any C#. Like I started on the 15th of last month, and it's been a month now. And before now, I didn't even look at C# code, but now look at me. I just pushed my first PR. So yay! That's like the summary of my journey as it has transpired over the course of the almost 2 years that I have been working. Yeah. I hope I wasn't too body.
Oh, that's nice. Um, Still on you, Messi, because there was something you said. Your learning process was not easy, but it was not as hard as everybody usually has it. Like you didn't have electricity problems when learning and stuff like that. So, what are some of the challenges, or just one major challenge that you faced that really hit you hard, and you would say was a stepping stone for you, and how did you beat it?
So this is something that um let's see that I'm still working through. So somehow the people who believe in me more than I believe in myself. So I still have, should I say, imposter syndrome that I'm fighting with. That and coding is actually like it could be hard. So having the right mindset of it can be like this thing will most likely have a solution. Not all problems have a solution though, but having that mindset, like it's something that you have to build over time. Like these problems can be very scary for you, and because of how big it seems, you could either drop off or you could keep trying to figure it out. So and I feel you trying to keep figuring it out. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Like it's something that happens over time. Like you just know that like I used to feel very distraught when I faced issues and I had no idea how to solve, like how to even approach solving not even solving it, like even understanding the problem. Like I went from being scared to read error codes. Like that used to be like my being. Like once I see an error code, I'd almost start panicking. But like these things are you just have to chill and just read through it and then try to find out what might be wrong. Like it can be a painful process, but getting comfortable with not knowing and looking forward to finally knowing, I guess that's like a recurring problem for me that I feel I have progressed on over time. I can't say that it's totally gone, but yeah, it has been a work in progress. I remember another problem I had, and another problem I had when I started, like my laptop wasn't the best. It was very frustrating to work with the laptop I was using at that point. Like my friends used to joke about it, but literally, if it touched my screen in a certain way, my laptop would just go off. Like you just had to be careful around it. So not having the proper tech was also a little bit of a letdown. That's actually why I stopped Android development. It was stressing out my laptop, and I was like, nope, I can't do this. Like it just felt like too much suffer for the tech that I had at that point. Um, those are like the three that I can remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ura, I'll be asking you the same question. What major challenge did you face in your transition, and how did you beat it?
Okay. I'll give like three different examples. Um, so the first one is at the very beginning. I think I pointed out that there was a time when I couldn't find a UI UX designer. And then after trying to look for, I decided to learn. And then I kept on facing setbacks from like at least four sets of developers. And that was actually what led me to um, just quit everything I was doing and then go learn to code, since people that I keep approaching and making this thing seem like it's near impossible. So the lesson I took from that is um, I if I try to do something and external forces that are not within my control are not allowing me to like achieve this goal, and I know I've tried all I've tried, a lot of times I find myself just diving into the ocean and trying to figure out to do this thing on my own. The worst thing that can happen is I can't figure it out. But thankfully, I was. And another example is, I guess, when it comes to facing challenges as a software developer, it's something that I have been experiencing, like in almost everything that I do, like from the very little things. And this has been happening from the beginning, like when I started learning to code. And I remember the best advice that I've actually ever received on my journey, um, on my journey like becoming a developer is that the first day that we got to the boot camp, so they told us that it's not a conventional school where your instructor would teach you like what to do and then put you through like how to code. And it's kind of like the opposites in the sense that we did have an instructor, but we would be given the modules to go figure out ourselves. Like, I mean, there's like already like a standard module that you just have to follow, and then go through the tutorials and the assignments, blah blah blah. And then um, they told us that if you get stuck on something, let's say you have an error or you can't figure out how to solve something very specific, as opposed to calling on your instructor to help out immediately, they told us that we should spend some time to figure out what the problem is on our own. So let's say between like 30 minutes to 1 hour. And if after some time you still can't figure out, like you can't debug your error, or you can't figure out why something is not working, then you should ask your classmates who may have experienced similar problems. And if they can't help out, then you should call an instructor. And I remember very well, like my first reaction when I heard this, and then I was just thinking, this is crazy. Like I came here and I paid so that someone can teach me. So why are you telling me now that I have to mostly figure out things on my own? But I'm very grateful that I took that advice. I can tell you for a fact that it's the very best advice that I have received to date when it comes to learning to code in general. And this is because when I'm faced with an error, so what I do is I try my possible best to like research, like embrace that error, and then like research on why that is happening. And what I find from that is that a lot of times in the process of researching like my errors, I find that um, I learn even way more than I bargained for. So like I don't just learn why my thing is not working. I learn about other things that could occur with regards to that error. I learn about just how to use that specific feature that I am trying to execute. I see that opportunity. I see that process as that process of figuring out the error as an opportunity to learn. And for me, like that's like one of I guess the best things that I have that has really helped me in my journey coming from a non-traditional background because when I start to debug and figure out things on my own, which, as I said at the very beginning, seems like a painful process because it's easier for you to just call somebody, or you miss out the journey if someone just points the very ending and points like the right answer to you. You miss out the journey of like what it means to get there to figure out that answer. And I learned way more than I bargained for. I still practice that today. I mean, of course, there are times when after spending hours on something and I still can't figure it out, I would have to call on someone that probably knows what to do. But I always try to make sure that I exhaust all the options that I am aware of. Like I dig and I read documents, I debug, I try out different things before calling on someone because, as I said, right, it really, really helps. I don't see that. I wouldn't particularly call those moments challenges. I see it as the flip side, which is just an opportunity to learn, but I just have to go through the process of figuring things out first. And the last example I'll give is I would say sometimes, let's say I start on a new role or I pick up a new language at one of my jobs and there's a particular technology that I'm struggling to use. So for example, let's say I am doing something with JavaScript and I don't fully understand how like what it means to like make use of promises like in JavaScript, like when to use then and catch versus when to use then and catch versus using like a try catch with a sync, blah blah blah. Or let's say I'm trying to do some stuff on Docker and I am struggling to figure out how to like run scripts and I have to call on someone to tell me what to do. When I find that things like that happen at my job, I even if I've accomplished the goal for that day, right? Maybe I accomplished it by quickly googling the solution to something, or just to that thing specifically, or calling on someone to tell me what to do. I try to make sure that I take out time, like maybe on the weekend, to actually go through documents and documentations, and then go through tutorials explaining how to actually use that particular technology that I don't fully understand. So that's one thing that I find happens to me on my job from time to time, and then I make sure that I tackle that by just taking out time to expand my knowledge on that thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Bura. I really hope we are all taking notes. You know, JavaScript developers in the house, data scientists in the house. I really hope you are taking notes. Developers in the house in general. I really hope you're taking notes because honestly, I'm being inspired right now. So my next and final question for Messi is okay, how's your typical day like from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m.? How what's your daily routine? Stuff like that. Like what do you do on a normal day? All things being equal.
Um, so on a normal day, but normal is actually very subjective. Like before, like last month, a normal day for me would start. Okay, let's see. Yeah, about a month ago, a normal day for me, I usually wake up say around 6 a.m. and I go for a run and then I come back and probably work out a little bit more. I try to be as active as possible before. Okay, a normal day about a month ago. I was actually jobless about a month ago. So let me backtrack to now. So right now, a normal day for me, I still wake up around 6 a.m. Like in between 6 to 8 most days, depending on how late I sleep. Um, I usually start off the day by just checking emails and trying to get up to speed with stuff that happened while I was away because the team is global, so things happen while I'm asleep. People just start work when I'm getting off work, so just try to get abreast of all of that or some of that because it can be a lot. Um, and then if I have a pending task, I look at that. I'm still in my onboarding stage, so I still have stuff to review, like not just technical stuff, but also things that are related to the company. So it can be a mix of me having onboarding meetings or me having a meeting with someone to explain something I'm supposed to work on, or having, yeah, onboarding meetings, someone explaining stuff for me to work on, or me actually doing the work. And then the day usually ends with a stand-up meeting, and I might either get some work done after that, or I'm just done for the day. Like so, that's the end of work for me, and I just do other stuff. Attend to personal emails and text with friends. If I'm able to, I usually watch something and then cook. But yeah, these are the weekdays are usually that way for me.
Okay. Aside from running, what other things do you do for fun? Aside
So
running, like watching cartoons, what other things do you do for fun?
So fun happens, or if there's fun, that's usually over the weekends and a few weekdays, because it can be a little bit stressful going out, especially now that there's actually going outside, going out on weekday. So on a weekday, if I'm to go out, it might just be for a movie or just to hang out with friends. On weekends, I'm trying to do more interesting stuff. So I just moved to Lagos about like some months ago. Before then, I was in Kaduna, and there isn't as much activities that will take me outside of my house in Kaduna. But here in Lagos, there are things that I would want to try out. So, um, things that are on my list that I've still not done because of COVID. Things like paintballing, things like kayaking, just being outdoors and just either experiencing stuff or just being with people. Um, yeah, those.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy. Mura, I'll be asking you the same question. What's your typical day like? Okay, honestly, not much happens. I mean, because there's COVID. Well, typically, I I usually would start work sometimes 8, sometimes 9, a few times 10. Um, my work hours can be very flexible. Flexible. It just depends on what needs to happen and what meetings I have later on. Like if I have meetings late by like 7, 8, then I could start work later than usual. So when I'm off, it's very flexible. Sometimes I eat before starting work. Sometimes I don't. It honestly just depends because there's a lot of factors that play in. So for example, if I if I was previously trying to debug something from the day before that I haven't finished resolving, and I know that thing is of priority, then that's probably one of the very first things I will be doing in like an hour and a half after I wake up. There are a couple of other personal things that I do just before I start work. Obviously, brush my teeth and things like that. But there's I do this. I practice daily affirmations. For me, that is one thing that keeps me going in general. Just things that I believe in and how my day should play out. And then when I actually start work, um, I probably would have to mostly start off with looking at logs for like our service to find out if there are like any issues, if there were any issues like the day before, and just try to figure out what the problem is. Just debugging that, and then after I'm done with that, there's probably always like a feature that I have to work on or was working on from the day before. And I mean, it's basically just writing the code and doing research on what I'm supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. Um, Aside from that, I would also spend some time reviewing other people's work, like the PR that they put out, and just giving feedback when I can. And then when I'm done with whatever feature or whatever bug I'm trying to correct, I would put out my own PR and then follow through with that. And I typically would have at least one meeting in a day, sometimes two. Depends on um, context of the meeting and then what we're trying to achieve within that period. Um, and let's say my day at work on an average could end by like 7, sometimes it could end by 8. Again, it really depends on what we are doing in that period. And then once my day is up, I I typically don't do much on a weekday. I guess maybe because of COVID, but I work from home, so I'm mostly always home. I probably would watch something on Netflix, or yesterday I was watching WandaVision after work. So if I'm not doing that, then let's see what else. What else happens? If I'm not doing that, let's say before COVID happened, right? Sometimes maybe I would hang out with my friends. But generally speaking, I don't do much. Last quarter, I had to like work on a personal project. So after I'm done with my work, maybe I'll switch to working on my personal project and then just trying to write code for that and do what I can do within like 3 hours before I go to bed. I typically go to bed sometimes 10, sometimes 11, sometimes 12, sometimes 1. Again, everything is very flexible. I don't follow a specific routine, basically.
Um, that's nice. Walk, walk, walk. Anyways, honestly, I really appreciate all we all appreciate having both of you with us. Thank you for sharing with us your experiences, and I'm sure everybody has something they are taking personally. Like me, I have something I'm taking. Everybody will have something they are taking. So thank you very much. God bless you. Over to you, Fian.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for this session. I would have loved for the session to continue, but looking at time and all, I don't think we might be able to finish up all the questions. But thank you very much for answering the questions and for staying with us till this time. It was meant to be 12:50, but we spent extra 7 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can drop it. Hopefully, all we can do is probably ask them to answer the questions, and we'll share it among the community when we're done with the event. So Tabi is here with us. So we'll be having a 15 to 20 minute session on I Am Remarkable by Tabi, and she's going to be talking to us about I Am Remarkable and Choose to Challenge. Tabi was one of the leads last year from Kenya. She's the former lead, and she's my very good friend. So let's welcome Tabi, and she'll be taking the I Am Remarkable session.
Thank you, Ify. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me quickly share my screen. Um, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to quickly do this. I'm going to introduce myself and then tell us about I'm remarkable, and then continue. I'm going to be skipping through some of the slides. Yeah, because maybe I'll find them not really relevant to the talk right now. Anyway, so my name is Tabita Cavu, computer science student at the University of Nairobi. Yeah, computer science. I'm in my final year. I was a former DSC lead for University of Nairobi as well, and I'm also I'm remarkable facilitator, and I'm actually glad to be here to celebrate IWD with everyone here. Yeah, so I don't know how many people know about I'm Remarkable. I'm sure maybe some of you know about it, but I'll just go quickly to say what I'm Remarkable is. So I'm Remarkable started off as a Google initiative, like an internal Google initiative that was meant to empower women to be able to speak about their accomplishments in the workplace, and yeah, something like that. But then with time, they realized that it's not really the issue that they thought that were only women were facing. It was not only women, but these issues were also faced by other underrepresented groups, like maybe based on their race, gender, sexuality, and stuff like that. Like it was not only women, and so from then Unbreakable was now made open to everybody, not only women but everybody, so that everyone can be able to be comfortable enough to speak about their accomplishments and whatever they've been able to achieve. I mean, all of you can agree with me that it gets difficult, to actually stand before people, or even share with some people, or go out on social media and talk to people about maybe stuff that you've been able to accomplish. Some are good at it, some are actually can do it so well, but then some of us really have that tendency to feel shy and to feel like, oh no, I can't really do this because maybe it's not really enough, it's not really huge. And yeah, that's why I'm Remarkable is there. It's meant to actually give you the voice, to help you promote yourself, promote what we call it, self-promotion. Yeah, being able to publicly talk about your accomplishments. Yeah. So the initiative of Unbreakable is to encourage everyone but then we are women. Okay, I don't know if you're all of us are women here. Let me not assume that everyone here is female, but yeah, it's meant to encourage everyone to develop confidence and competence to engage in self-promotion. Yeah, so that you can be confident enough to talk about your accomplishments and also to challenge the perceptions around self-promotion. I love the fact that this year's IWD's theme is choose to challenge, and that is what Unremarkable focuses on, it, trying to challenge the perception that are already existing. I mean, we look at them as we proceed. Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard about this, but I've said it a couple of times, and maybe you've heard someone else saying it. It's not bragging if it's based on facts. I mean, the people who have spoken before me have really shared their story and things maybe they were able to do. And which example am I going to use? Let me just use Ify because I know Ify well. So let's say it's Ify, and she got to become the developer students club lead at University of Lagos. I mean, that's huge. Like, like it's huge, it's big and everything. And then she just gets an email and she's like, oh, you've been selected. Like, I'm sure there are many people who applied. I don't know if there are many, but I'm assuming that there are many people who applied for it, but then she got it. And then if he's now scared, like if he can now not tell people that, oh guys, guess what? I've been selected to be the DSC lead. You see, like we have people who are like that because she feels like, nah, maybe it's just there's nothing much, just being a campus lead, nothing big about it. It's a Google program, yeah, but it's not like you're working for Google. You see, like you start having all those ideas and you feel like, oh, if I tell people that I'm a DSC lead or I've been able to accomplish this and that, you feel like, oh, people are going to be like, and now she's bragging, or she feels like she's on top of the world or something of the sort. But then we say it's not bragging if it's based on fact, like if it's legit, like if you've really done this particular thing, like if you've been selected out of many people, or you're applying for an internship, or those things that we apply for, those main things we apply for, and some people get rejection emails, some of us get congratulations emails, or maybe it's a project that you've done, and like, yeah, this is so and so did this, and then you feel like, no, it's not really a big deal, like you don't want to come out like the person that has done it. You don't want to own it, and this is you because you're afraid of what the society is going to think about you, and I think we women actually experience this a lot because we are afraid to come out and speak about what we've been able to accomplish on our own, because we feel like people are going to say, nah, it's not really a big deal. Like, why is she bragging? I mean, she should just keep quiet. This one should just learn to keep quiet and do her things. We have people who have done better things and stuff like that. But then do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to talk about what you've done in as much as it's little to you. Like maybe you feel like, I just learned to write hello world today in JavaScript. Maybe I didn't know how to do it. Do not be afraid to say it, because this is you. Like you've been able to do this before. You were not able to do it. Now you can do it. So do not be afraid of actually, being able to speak about it, because you feel like, oh, they're going to say, you're talking too early. Like you get what people usually say. And then this point, accomplishments do not speak for themselves. And like I mentioned before, if you do not talk about accomplishments, like if I do not tell people that I am good in JavaScript, if I don't tell people I am good in Python, if I don't tell people I am good in maybe marketing or designing and all those skills that we have, if you don't share it out with people, then how are they going to know? We tend to assume that people know a lot about us, but we can't do that. You can't go around assuming that I know what you do, or I know, like, yeah, I know maybe you do JavaScript, but I don't know to what extent, you see. So like it's really important for us to actually talk about what we are doing, or what we are actually working on to other people, so that we can be able to know, like, oh, so and so is working on this. And you get, when people talk about communities and the importance of being a community, and the fact that in the community, you can get someone to refer you to an internship, or maybe it's a job opening and stuff like that. But this thing just don't happen like that, you know. Like, you have to actually maybe have shared it with someone, like, you know what, this, I've been working on this, and then when maybe I'm in a company, or I've met someone and they're looking for maybe a designer, or they're looking for a developer, you get. And then I remember, oh yeah, so Mercy said she does this, or she's good at this, yeah, I think she'll be fit for this. Then I recommend Mercy to this particular person, you see. And that is how you get yourself a job, or maybe an internship. So like, and compare it to someone who does not actually speak about it. Like, if I didn't tell you what I do, if I don't let you know what I'm really looking for, how are you going to get that internship? How are you going to get that job? Or how are we going to know that you are actually good in this thing, so that in the future we can actually recommend you to this particular thing? That is why we say it is really important for us to speak about what we're able to accomplish as women, and even as anyone, yeah, as a person. You can, yeah, like, let's not shy away. So if you've done a project, if you've met a goal, yeah, if it's a goal that you set for yourself and you have been able to achieve it, that is an accomplishment for you. So it's a huge step for you. So do not feel shy about talking about it, because you're afraid of people going to bash you, or you're afraid people are going to discriminate, or you're going to feel intimidated, or stuff like that. I mean, learn to actually speak about this thing. It's not actually easy, like I told you. It's easy for some people to actually do this and go out there and say, oh, you know, I'm working on this. This is. There are people who are not able to do that. That's why we say it's like a muscle that you need to flex every time. Like, it's a skill that you need to develop with time. And that is why I'm kind of like here to remind you that you can start with a small group of people. Tell your friend, like, you know what, Ify, I'm working on this. You know, just start by telling one person, and then with time, and even looking at people who actually are confident enough, people who actually are sharing their stories, they have no problem with sharing what they do. You know, look up to them, and then with time, you'll get your own natural voice and get to be able to speak about what you actually do for yourself. So it's not really put too much pressure on yourself. Like, oh, Tabi says we should be speaking about our achievement. I don't even know. So how am I going to do this? Just take it step by step. Take it easy. And what is the importance of actually speaking about your accomplishments? You know, not only are you going to help yourself, but you're also going to inspire other people. Maybe someone is starting out, or maybe someone is somewhere and they're stuck. Then you share your story, or you tell someone. You see, in some way you get inspired. I like the example of a TED Talk. Like, some of us like listening to TED Talks and, you know, stuff like that. And we get to hear inspiring stories from people. You know, this one was able to maybe, okay, not kill a lion, but maybe someone was able to write a book, or they were able to overcome some sort of difficulty in their career path, or maybe in their life, and they emerged out victorious, and now they are called to actually speak about. They actually go out there and speak to us, and we listen to their stories and we get inspired. So it does not only benefit you maybe in your career or as a person, but then it also helps other people. Your story can actually inspire somebody else to actually maybe start out or move from a place of stagnation, or if you're stuck at some place. Maybe, for example, if I'm like, oh, I can't really code, I don't know how to code, but then I hear Mercy talking about, you know, coding, and, you know, how it is and stuff like that. And, you know, if I hear it from her, maybe I've been hearing it from other people, but I've really been clouding. I've not really been paying attention. But then if I hear it now from Mercy, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Mercy has done this. I mean, yeah, she's able to do this. Then what is stopping me? Like, I can do that. You know, you never know. Like, you never know how someone is going to be inspired. So maybe it's your story that is going to be unique and inspire somebody else to actually, you know, improve on something that they've really been working on, or starting on something if it's coding. Like, yeah, like, for example, I'm already feeling inspired right now after listening and after even reading Master's story, and I'm like, I think I'm going to start this thing. Yeah, I mean, that is what it does, speaking about your accomplishment. So self-promotion really matters, because it enables you to speak about your unique value, like the skill that you're able to bring to the table, or when you show it off out there. So, and if you don't actually self-promote ourselves, then we fall in the risk of, you know, falling behind our peers. So the example is in an interview setting. You're in an interview, maybe you're applying for something, and you're reserved. You don't really want to come out and talk about maybe the thing that you've done, maybe the interesting project that you've really worked on. But then there's somebody else who talks about it, like I've done this, I've contributed in this particular project, I've been able to come up with this site or stuff like that. So you see, if one person is really eloquent and really talking about what they have done, speaking, so that you can know, yeah, even though she's not really good, but she has started out, and yeah, but then for you are not, like, you're just doing the basic application and just answering the basic questions, and there's nothing really unique. There's nothing really unique that you're telling them. Like, maybe all of you are qualified, all of you are at the same level. Like, there's a time, like, how do we choose this one from this one? So, but if you actually get to talk about what you've been able to do, or maybe your journey or things that you've really worked on, and you see, you get to have that. There's a distinction, and you can be selected to go ahead with the interview or the application, or even get a job. But then if you don't, I mean, you don't get selected. So that's the point we mean by saying we risk falling behind our self-promoting peer. That is why it's really important for us to, be able to show and speak about our value to maybe our friends and even out there to the public, because you never know who is listening, you never know who is watching, or you never know who is really looking at these things. Yeah. So there's this study that shows how women and other men also don't like women who promote themselves. Like, you're a woman, and I'm really talking about things I've been able to achieve. Like, oh, I'm working on this project to help young girls to do this. I'm also maybe a director here. Like, like women who are really vocal about their achievements. I mean, the society, like I told you, the theme here is to choose to challenge, and we have some societal and modesty norms that exist that some are really unconscious. Like, the society in some way looks at women in a way that women are not supposed to really talk about what they are doing. Like, it sees women as people who are supposed to be selfless. The whole idea of being a mother, and you're accommodating everyone and what everyone has been able to do. Yeah, that selfless nature, and not really being able to talk about what you as a person is able to accomplish. Or maybe they think you really can't do this because you are a woman. I mean, it's not your place. Like, it's not. But then we need to choose to challenge. Like, if it's you that is going through that particular phase where you really cannot talk about your accomplishments because you're afraid of maybe the people around you, maybe it's your colleagues at work, or maybe it's your friends in school, maybe you're coding people. I know how it can feel. Like, their guys are coding and you're not coding, and you feel like they're not really going to take my contribution here, because what are you even saying? So, like, choose to challenge that perception, that bias that is already existing. And you know what, come out, like, talk, because sometimes I feel like we women and even other people are actually very good at what we do. Like, you can find that I'm really good at this coding thing compared to the other person that feels like they know, but then we just are afraid. We are afraid of actually coming out and saying, because they know, they'll always think that the guy does it well, the guy does it better than I do, and they'll always take his opinion first and not your own opinion. So that's why I said I'm not going to talk about the race bias. I'm just going to talk about the gender bias. Yeah, because we are in the theme of talking about it. So yeah, like, I think we've also had to experience this in our classrooms, maybe or even in the workplace. You give an opinion about something, or you give an idea, and everyone is like, just because it is you, because you're a woman who is saying it, then people go out of their way to, like, oh, they need to maybe review it, or maybe they're gonna, like, criticize it or something of the sort. But then you experience that if it's this particular guy or if it's this particular person, then all those persons are not going to be there. Like, there's no extra reviewing, there's no extra criticism, but because it's you, they're like doubting. You get what I'm really trying to say here. Like, because it is a woman who is doing this, they're like doubting your work. Yeah. And even I say that we have some unconscious bias. That's why you find you don't really know it, but I guess with time and with how everything is going on in the society, you've just accustomed yourself to believing, nah, I mean, I cannot really go out there and start telling people, or I cannot enter into a discussion and tell people that I'm really good at this thing, because they will never take my opinion seriously, or they'll never give me credit to where I deserve, because someone else will always get it. The guy will always get it, and it's not me that is going to get it. I mean, these things kind of affect us in a way that we tend to, shrink, and you're like, you just work in your own comfort zone. And that is how we miss out on opportunities, because you're afraid of actually speaking about what you are able to do and how remarkable you are. Yeah, these other slides are not really really important, but what I'm um really trying to say is we can choose to challenge this societal bias that exists, the gender bias, the the racist bias, also the language barriers. You're in a place, people are talking in a certain way and you don't really understand, and it can really affect you because you feel like, no, like I really can't communicate well with this particular group of people because they speak like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes, if I give my own example, like I'm in this group, this particular group I'm in, and I feel like people talk about, I don't know, coding and everything, and it's not like I don't understand. I do understand, but sometimes I just feel like, oh my goodness, I don't really understand most of the things that are really being said there, because I don't know about them, and there's this fear. Like I said, something that I'm cautious. I feel like, you know what, I don't even really belong here. I've always been thinking about leaving the group because I'm like, this guy will just keep pressuring me, and like even when you talk, you feel like no one is really going to listen to you because someone else would always come with this technological jargons and all these ideas, and the guys will get into a conversation, and for you, you'll just be there in the sidelines, the bench, you're just watching, and it's not. But then what this year's team is trying to tell us is choose to challenge such things, like, yeah, like, you know what, if you know what is being talked about, be free to give your own contributions on a particular matter. You feel like this thing is not done the right way, like you guys are doing this, it's not supposed to be done this way, let's do it this way, like choose to challenge maybe the idea that people have put out there about women, or maybe something is done in a certain way. People really can get into a place where they don't see something has not really been working well. And maybe for me, I have the gift, I can actually see, if we actually do this, or if we actually implement this strategy, then we're gonna go a long way. Maybe if it's in a company, we're gonna go a long way in maybe getting profits, or even getting more users, or stuff like that. It's going to be beneficial to the company. So have the voice to actually speak about this, give your ideas, give your contributions, and they're going to go a long way. And then for us to actually challenge all this bias that is existing, if all of us come out and be free and talk about what we can do, or what you think is not being done the right way. And then if all of us are able now to be freely talking about our accomplishment, then it's not going to be a big deal anymore that, oh, this woman, or this woman, that, like. And I love the way things are now changing, and there's more room for women to talk about their accomplishments, with less people intimidated, or with less people feeling intimidated, or feeling like, yeah, like this is not really my place and stuff like that. So I don't know how much time I've really consumed, but this next exercise is supposed for you to actually sit down and think about all the things that you've been able to do, because we are trying to learn how to actually speak about accomplishments. So you sit down, think about the thing that you've done. It could be professional, it could be personal, like things that you've done for yourself, or maybe something that you did that you didn't think you could do, and now you've been able to do it, but then you've never really thought of it as an accomplishment. And remember what I told you before, there's no such thing as a small achievement. An achievement is an achievement. As long as I was not able to do something before and now I'm able to do it, then do not be afraid. Do not bash it, do not downplay it. Yeah, do not disregard it and say, I really have to maybe get something big for me to actually call it an achievement, or go out there. So you can start by small. You can start by sharing your small journeys. Like, I was able to do this. I got this job, or I was selected to be the core team member of this. This is a leadership position. Like, you're starting small before you actually, so that when you actually start achieving, those things that you think are big for you, and then it will need to be a problem for you to actually speak out to people. So how we usually do it in our Remarkable is we we tend to write statements like I am remarkable because, and then we don't really limit them to professional. You don't have to say I'm remarkable because I started coding or something of the sort. It can be something personal. Maybe you didn't know how to skate and now you're able to skate. I mean, that is something about you. This whole process is meant to remind you of how remarkable you are and all the things that you have done for yourself, but you've never really gotten time to think about them, and you feel like they're not worth sharing. So, and I'm just gonna ask us to quickly, if you've really gotten the gist of this whole thing, just share, just think through the thing that you've done for yourself, amazing thing that you've done for yourself. Even if it's not amazing, maybe to me I'll find it amazing. You can share them on the chat section as we continue. We're actually winding up, so yeah, you can share them on the chat section. This is a process to actually help you to come out, start speaking. We are not a big number. It's not the whole social media. We are few here, so we can actually just share with us like what you are remarkable for. I am remarkable because I am a developer students club leader at the University of Lagos. That is something. So something like that. I'm remarkable because it's just start teaching yourself to talk about things that you've done and your achievements. I don't know if we are together on that. Oh yeah, Olavia says she's remarkable because I'm surviving in Lag Wahala. Yeah, I can imagine the stress. So yeah, that is something. Yeah. I don't know about other people. I don't know if you're thinking, but like I told you before, it's not much pressure. So you can choose to share. You can choose not to. Maybe it's a process. It'll take you a process, but you can always talk to people. But you can always talk to your friends. One person, like, you know what, I did this, and then comfortably start talking to 2 people, and then 3 people, 4 people, and then with time you find that it's easy actually for you to actually stand in a group of people or in a community event or even a tech event, and you're telling people about maybe something or talking about how to do this or how to implement so and so. I mean, something that you really learned for yourself. So with time you're going to get that confidence. So yeah, I really hope that we get to that place where we are comfortable enough to talk about our accomplishments and what we've been able to do, and not be afraid of talking about them because we feel like people are going to bash us, or we feel like people are going to think that you're bragging or something of the sort. So let's not shy away. Remember that our stories do not only inspire us, do not only help us, but they also inspire other people to actually start something new or improve or continue from where they actually stopped because of some reasons. And yeah, and this slide is about advocacy, and this is a point where the people who I said before that we are really confident, like we don't have a problem in speaking about accomplishment. How can you help your friend? How can you help somebody who has a problem? Someone has a really brilliant idea. These people, they do well, but they really have a problem in speaking it out. So you can actually help them by attributing their ideas correctly. Like if this project was done by Paul, then you can go ahead and say, oh, actually this project was spearheaded by so and so. She's the brains behind this. Like giving credit where it is deserved or something of sort. Yeah. So yeah, attributing ideas, like if something was done by someone, give them that credit and then give them room to actually speak. Like allow them to speak for themselves. Like let's invite our pal to tell us how she thought about this, the whole thought process before she came with this idea. Yeah. And also acknowledge the accomplishments. I mean, the thing that they have done. So because they are afraid to talk about it, you can also talk about it for them. I think they usually do it mostly when they speak, when they are introducing you as a speaker. They usually say, oh, so and so done this. That's a good way. So you can always talk about your friend, like, oh, she has done this, before. With time, she'll also get used to hearing it, and then they'll get the confidence in their own time to actually speak about it themselves. So yeah, acknowledging the accomplishments of other people, and also ask probing questions. If I'm I'm doing a presentation, it's a individual presentation, and I keep saying, oh, we, and we really can't know, like, who is we? Like, who? Maybe there's not a we, it's maybe I'm the one who has worked on this, but I keep on saying we because I don't want it to look like it's my own doing, like it's my own effort. So I ask, like, who is this we? Like, we want to know who is we, so that the person can freely come out and say, it's actually me that was able to was able to do this. Yeah, I'm saying someone else is saying I'm remarkable because I'm helping others transform product management. Also, yeah, this is something good because you see, I believe this is mentoring, and then if you see someone has gotten a job because maybe you've helped them, then there's that sense of satisfaction that you get and you feel, yeah, I'm really helping. I'm really helping in changing the world. Yeah, I guess that's it from me. I don't have much, but to remind you to always talk to your friends, share your achievements with other people. You can find a day or every single day or even a certain time of your day, practice sharing, like, guys, this is what I've been able to achieve during this week, blah, blah, blah. Keep practicing. Yeah, keep practicing how to do it because they say practice makes perfect. So keep practicing before you actually get your own voice and actually be confident about talking about your accomplishments, and then track them. Like, today I did this, today I did this. So when you actually track your achievements, it gives you room to actually, when a moment comes where you're doubting yourself or you're having imposter syndrome, you can actually look back and say, oh, I was able to do this. So if I was able to do this, then why am I afraid to actually do this? So it can act as a motivator and a reminder of the amazing thing that you've done for yourself before and the amazing thing that you can actually do later on if you keep and put your mind to it. Yeah. And also, apart from sharing it with your friends, and when the time comes and you've gotten the hang of it, then you can practice how to share your accomplishments in a professional situation. Maybe it's a meetup that you've gone to, and there are these people who are hiring, they're recruiting, or maybe you're talking to maybe the CEO of a company or a CTO or something. You can be able to now go out there to them, like when we do networking. So you can be comfortable enough to go there and say, oh, hi, I'm so and so, I do this, and like how this whole thing started. And then before you know it, you have a job. Before you know it, you have a gig or something of the sort. Yeah, so use this self-promotion skill to achieve a career goal that you've set for yourself. Yeah, and remember, you are remarkable. You are amazing. Yeah, do not downplay your achievement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tabi. So like I said, we're going to this event is going to take to 1:30, and we're almost at 1:30 mark. So thank you very much for everyone that joined. Thank you, Tabi. Thank you to the panelists that took the panelist session. Thank you, Sarah, for moderating the panelist session. And lastly, to all Unilag students, please go and read your books, and don't forget to choose to challenge the lecturers when you're writing the exam. Choose to challenge that. And also, yeah, I was for the I am remarkable session. Like Olamide said, I am remarkable because I'm surviving in life. So that's for me. So thank you very much to everyone that joined and stayed to this point. Yeah, for DSC, man, this is our last event because of school. For now, not when school is over, the whole semester, we're going to continue our course, our training and events. But for now, everyone should focus on their books. Everyone should focus on their exams. And I wish you good luck in your exams. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. Goodbye.